Welcome back to another edition of Nerds on the Block. Today we're going to talk about Square Enix renewing two trademarks that has led to some speculation, and we're going to talk about it. So yeah, for out of the two trademarks that we heard what Square Enix has renewed is Ever Crisis and The First Soldier. So Shamar, what do you think of this news so far?
Very excited about this news actually. I didn't think this news was ever gonna even come up after, playing such an amazing game last year. So I'm actually just blown away that they're even, I know it's usually a Square Enix thing to take on multiple projects, but they're taking on two very, from what I'm gonna safely assume, and we're gonna go along with that, in a little bit, they're taking on two ambitious projects. I'm gonna safely assume because just the title Ever Crisis, we can start with that. Ever Crisis, I'm gonna safely assume is gonna circle around the Before Crisis video game and the Crisis Core video game that actually came out for the PSP that circled around the story of Zack Fair and basically the prequel of Final Fantasy VII. So in my mind's eye, I would love for it to be a video game. Because, they remade Final Fantasy VII. I'm all for it if they want to remake Crisis Core. And I'm sure a lot of you will agree. Let's bring back Crisis Core. Let's bring it back in full res, high def, PS5 quality. Let's do it. Because, they did such an amazing job with Final Fantasy VII, which could have went, terribly wrong. But they did such an amazing job with it. I'm ready. I'm so ready for it. My heart wants it to be a video game, but even it could be a movie, it could be an anime series. They've done it with Final Fantasy 15 where they've given it a movie and they've given it a little anime series, so I'm down for that too. And they also gave Final Fantasy 7 its own movie with Advent Children. So yep. And honestly, whatever they choose, I'm for it. Obviously, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say let's get a game, obviously. Let's get a game. I want to replay that adventure in full res, high def. I'll just keep saying it until it happens. So let's push for that. But Ever Crisis, that's what I think. And a lot of us obviously probably haven't played Before Crisis because Before Crisis was a cell phone game, right? So all the more reason to make that, because not everybody's played the cell phone game. It came out in Japan, so the only way you were gonna ever play it is if you lived in Japan. So why not? They've basically beat Kingdom Hearts to death when it comes to remakes and remasters and blah 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 blah. I feel like now it's Final Fantasy VII's turn to basically get that treatment. So I'm hoping that Before Crisis again is another game that's being remastered into full res and high def, because the story is the lore of the Final Fantasy VII installment is so gross and so beloved. It's people can keep playing it and revisiting that world, and it's like they're revisiting it for the first time. And now they have the chance to really expand and do things they basically couldn't do back when they were doing Crisis Core, back when they were doing Before Crisis for the cell phone.
There's lots of things that they can play with this. Dexter, going off what he said here, as if you were in the pitching room, would you want this to be more of a film, video game? Because they're juggling all kinds of projects. They have Final Fantasy 16 that's slated very soon to come out on PlayStation 5 as an exclusive. What would you want to see when it comes to that, as a movie?
Yeah, that's really tough. You got one hand where it's you want to see that modern 1080p or now 4K 60 FPS. We want to see Final Fantasy running on that, because we, even with the latest one that was just remade, we only got a 30 FPS limit on there.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Did it get 60 though on the Pro? I don't think it did, or even on.
I don't think.
I'm not sure.
And it hasn't been released for PS5 yet, right?
No.
So it's not there yet.
Doesn't have an update for it yet.
At this moment, right? I think fans would be really eager and excited to play a game at 4K at 60 FPS. That would be really cool. I kind of want to play devil's advocate and say that it'd be nice to see a film, just because we haven't got one since Advent Children, and I think the reason being is it's been proven that honestly video game industry is it's a top selling industry. There's more money in it than film, so it's not surprising that they don't make more Final Fantasy films, because it probably cost them quite a lot to do it, and then how much do they get back for it is maybe not worth it to them. Whereas when they made Advent Children, it probably was more worth it back then. But now the video game industry is just completely taken over when it comes to sales. So, and not to mention the graphics and everything have changed so well that it's you can kind of give us both now. If you give us enough, cinematic shots, you could basically tell us the movie within the game and then also provide that gameplay in it. So there's I don't think there's a lose-lose situation, even if they do provide a video game format, because we're still going to basically watch a movie while we play it. So I don't think there's any, wrong way about doing it. And then, like as Shamar said, it'd be nice if they did bring it out to PlayStation 5, even if it wasn't, PS5 graphics, even if it was like PS4 graphics or just HD remastered, because it was on a phone. So that's, whatever technology they had at that time is not even comparable to even probably PS3, PS4. So I'm sure it would be really rewarding for fans just to get a remake like that on the PS5 regardless.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I feel like for me, like, I remember my first touch on what Final Fantasy was. Like, I didn't play the games on the NES. Like, I feel like the PlayStation, my brother played Final Fantasy VII, and when I watched Advent Children, it was my first take on what Final Fantasy is all about, and I loved it. I was I want more of this. So for me, I'm kind of on your side of things, where it's just I would love to see a film, but a video game is everything that you want. It encompasses everything in one title for you. So I would say you can't really lose choosing which medium. But Shamar, I want to go on towards the First Soldier now. What do you think that means for fans?
Again, whether it's a video game, a comic book, a TV show, or whatever it is, I'm down for it. I'll take it. That's not the question at hand, because it's a win-win at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to figure out is, I'm assuming we can assume that the First Soldier is going to be about Sephiroth and basically seeing the story from his POV, because he was the first soldier. So unless they're pulling something else out of their hat in regards to the first soldier, maybe there was a first soldier before Sephiroth, which I'm down for. So if that happens, let's do it. I'd be very curious to see what kind of extra story they can add if Sephiroth wasn't the first soldier, which, we've always been led to believe that he was. And if it is Sephiroth, I mean, all the better. I'd love to see a story from Sephiroth's POV, seeing him in his younger years, going into him actually becoming a soldier and, getting the Genova DNA put inside of him, and basically just seeing his transition from being this innocent guy, presumably, to, what we know him as now. So,
how he got there.
Yeah, basically how, because, obviously we always see him as the bad guy, as this guy that just, he learns the truth about his origin, and he just basically goes nuts, and he just wants to, take over the world and do things in his own way, based on the way he felt when he heard the origins of his existence, basically. So, it'd be nice if they kind of dug deeper into that and did it from Sephiroth's perspective, just to give us a little closure and to give us a little more insight on, okay, what was he actually thinking? What was he going through? For all we know, he might have been in the right. You never know. Maybe, Cloud and everybody else, maybe they're in the wrong, but, it's just nice. It would just be nice to get more Sephiroth and more insight in, what's going on in this guy's head, and, why did he feel so strongly about what he was doing in Final Fantasy VII, and, of course, why does he haunt Cloud so much, because this guy will not let him go. So
that perspective is going to be something that people are probably looking forward to when it comes to this project. And it almost kind of what you just said there, it's will it be Sephiroth or will it be someone else? I almost think it kind of leans in towards why Super Smash Bros. Ultimate included Sephiroth in their DLC, to be why are we dropping this character right now? They want people to be talking about Sephiroth, right? So leading into this project, I think it kind of makes sense that they have actually renewed these trademarks, because they know people are talking about Sephiroth, and it's they know what Super Smash Bros. Ultimate does for gaming. So it's people are already thinking about Sephiroth. Why not, continue a story or even give more insight, like you said, on Sephiroth. That's a good point.
Yeah. Good timing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything's marketing, right? At the end of the day, they know how to push certain notes to get people excited. So
ultimately, it's good news. It's I've always enjoyed at least 80 to 90% of their games. So, I'm down for it.
And Dexter, like, given like these projects, like, how big it is, like, and Square Enix does take on a lot. For fans that might think like, is this so much that they're tackling on? And like, do you think like projects like Final Fantasy VII Part 2 that they're working on, Final Fantasy 16, like, with all of this, like, when do you think people can maybe assume like they would actually see these projects? Like,
well, I don't think they're taking on too much. I mean, when it comes to Square Enix, like, they take a long time to develop games. So just because they license a trademark or announce even a title, that means almost nothing in the Square Enix world. So they could say one thing and then fucking, 10 years later, here comes your game.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, hopefully they are going to be working a little faster and, giving us a reasonable time frame for when we actually get to see these video games or movies. But with that being said, I think we're also just in this new age of where it's like the publishers are expected to pump out more than they ever had to before.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many films was it before Endgame came out? Like 17 or I don't even like.
Yeah.
So there's so many films that had already come out, and then you have just Disney is basically the landmark for that. Like, you look at Star Wars, look at all the franchise they have, and they just are setting that bar where it's like, we need to output this many films, this many pictures, this many projects, all within this time frame, and they still have to be respectable, they still have to be good quality. So I believe that's just going to be the new trend in the new future, and with all the money that all these companies have, I'm sure they can do it. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I hope, though, that they don't lose they don't lose the integrity, and they don't lose what's made Final Fantasy so special, because them taking their time is, usually it's with good reason.
Yeah.
But I think now, with all the money and with all the employees, with everything they have, I'm sure they will be able to pump out more than they ever had to before, and while we still get to have that same quality.
Yeah. I agree, because they got so many different franchises under their belt: Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts. The list goes on. They look death in the face. They look danger in the face. They don't care how long you have to wait.
Yeah.
They will make the game regardless, and they'll take their time and make the game. Final Fantasy 15 took 10 years to make, and it changed a lot from when it first got revealed. And they're just like, well, they don't care. It's like, regardless of, call me crazy or, call me wrong, but it's like, they will still develop the game, take their time, do what they got to do, and then they will release the game.
Yeah, they don't fall to pressure like that.
They don't.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't care.
Release it!
That's basically what happened.
Especially
right?
a game like Final Fantasy VII. They knew. And I kept telling people, I'm like, this game is going to get remade. I don't know when it's going to get remade, but the guy said, if I'm going to remake this game, I'm going to remake it properly. And there's a lot of things that I want to do to the game. The game is so vast that you have to put it in parts. Come on. Come on. We're lucky to even get it. Because a lot of people didn't even think they were going to even get this game.
It's a big game to tackle,
So he's like, the only way I can realistically do this is in parts, because like, this game is too much. Like, what he was trying to do, there's too much. So, and I'm glad that it's in parts, because I have something to look forward to on top of Final Fantasy 16. And now they got these two things that are being rumored.
You got people complaining, though, who are like, it's a cash grab, it's cash scheme, and it's like, even if they're trying to make a little bit of extra money,
they're still pumping up quality.
I mean, are you like, can you really not afford to pay that $80 like once every fucking 5 years? Whenever that next game comes out,
for $2.
I don't think it has completely to do with just getting money.
It's just
I'm
impatience.
sure they're basically, if they were to release it in all one bundle, we'd be waiting another 10 years for them all to come out. So it's like, well, I'd rather be able to play the first part than wait for all of them to come out at the same time.
It was bittersweet to play part 1, and it's like, it's done. But I know I can still go back and play part 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's still there. Yeah. And then I got more to look forward to. I would rather wait for it, as crazy as it sounds, wait for part 1, 2, 3, however many parts he's planning on doing it. Because I know there's always something I can look forward to, ultimately. If I had played the whole game and it would have been done, that would have been it. Yeah. That's it. Final Fantasy VII's done. They're not going to go back to it. Like, it's done. So I'm glad
from doing the first one, they might be able to learn and fix and build things into the next one and so on. Because I know some people complained about the first one, how there wasn't enough. I forget what town it is, but they focus too much on one area instead of other areas. So like now going forward into the next ones,
they could always learn.
They can always learn. Yeah.
And the thing is, they're getting deeper into the story, so it's only going to get better.
From here, exactly. That's only the first part.
And when we get that final battle, buddy, get ready for it. Get ready. For anybody who hasn't beat Sephiroth yet, get ready for it.
It's going to be hard.
Part 1 was nothing. That was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yep. Yeah, so that was our impressions of the renewed Trademarks out of Square Enix. This is not a formal announcement by Square Enix, so we're still awaiting what they would want to do with these projects. This is again all speculation, so take everything that we said with a grain of salt. But that was again our impressions of the Final Fantasy Trademarks. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to Nerds on the Block, and we'll see you next time.
Yo, you still here, dog? Yo, subscribe to the channel, bro. Make sure you hit that notification bell to stay locked on all of our content when it drops.
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, bro.
Balk tease on you.
Seriously, like it's so easy, bro. Just click the button, bro.